everybody. We're starting to have our whole gang join for our spritz making workshop. So who loves a spritz? Today I'm teaming up with Caposaldo Prosecco. They are an incredibly delicious root style Prosecco, which is what I have in front of me. And for anyone that joined us 2 weeks ago for the Prosecco DOC masterclass and virtual tasting we learned that root style Proseccos have a little less sugar than the extra dry variety. So I love using these root styles when I'm mixing cocktails, especially the spritz like we're going to talk about today, because I can add things that have some sweetness and some, maybe some infused syrups if you're into that. A lot of the liqueurs that we're gonna play with today do have some sugar content, so it's nice to have a nice dry root style Prosecco to play with today. So I am a huge fan of the spritz, and I know I've been getting a lot of messages from everyone today that you also are in the spritz fan club. So wanted to really quickly go over what it is, what they are, and how to make them, just the basic anatomy of the spritz. So they are a cocktail. Essentially they have three main ingredients. You have Prosecco, also club soda, and then some kind of liqueur or amaro. The most famous spritz, variation right now is definitely the Aperol spritz. Aperol is a slightly bitter, I think they're grapefruit based liqueur. Campari is also really popular, but I'm not using Aperol today or Campari. I'm gonna use some really fun, cool, just different styles of liqueurs that you may not have actually tried in a spritz before. So first one I'm going to make is instead of Aperol, I'm using this incredible persimmon liqueur from Apolog. They are a very cool spirits brand, super small production, artisanal. They're based out of Chicago. I'm a Chicago girl, so I love that we have this innovation coming from them, and they're using all locally foraged Midwestern ingredients. So this is a persimmon liqueur. If you guys aren't familiar with a persimmon, they have a texture almost of like a tomato, but they remind me flavor-wise of a really mellow kind of yellow plum. This is a liqueur that is using persimmon mostly, but also hibiscus, bitter orange peel, lemon peel, cinchona bark, gentian root, rhubarb, ginger, cardamom, spearmint, cinnamon, and a little bit of organic cane sugar. So we're gonna get a lot of complexity out of this. A fun story is that when I was researching this workshop, I asked all of my bartender friends, if you guys don't use Aperol in your spritz, what do you prefer to use? And the vast majority told me that they love this persimmon liqueur, which I had never worked with before. So a spritz, I think that most commonly you will see them in stemmed, big bulbed glass, but they can be made in a short glass, in a highball glass, kind of anything goes with a spritz. So taking your glass, whatever kind of glass you want, I would like you to fill that with ice. And then first thing I'm gonna do is add my liqueur. Okay, that's probably maybe an ounce and a half. Then next comes the Prosecco, my favorite part. Going to fill the glass. It might foam up a little bit, so go slow here. So pretty. Gorgeous, it looks like a sunset. And then I'm going to top it off with the club soda. So here we have the base of our spritz, and I gathered some fun garnishes today. So I have everything from grapefruit slices to lime wheels, orange peels. I have lots of fun stuff, but I think what I'm gonna do with this one is I have these really beautiful fresh black cherries, and so I'm gonna just kind of do that. This is incredible. It has a little more of a bitter, complex edge than Aperol, but it still has that really kind of ripe, fruity quality. I can definitely taste the rhubarb. A lot of the type of liqueurs that you'll see in spritzes have almost a medicinal quality, and this has a hint of that because they're using, you know, gentian root, all these really cool, interesting forage roots and herbs that they're steeping into the neutral spirit when they make these. But this is the first of 5. This is our persimmon spritz. Okay, so the spritz is actually a German word, and the legend of the spritz is that northern Italy used to be controlled by the Austro-Hungarian Empire. And these soldiers would come in from Austria and they would occupy these little towns in the Veneto region. And they found the wine really, really strong for them. I don't know, maybe they were drinking a bunch of like Amarone, really strong, powerful wines. And so what they started to do is add a little splash of water. And the word for like the splash of water in German is Spritz. Prosecco became a huge part of this equation. Eventually sparkling water instead of still water, and then finally people started putting these really cool northern Italian liqueurs into their spritzes. So the second variation on the spritz that I am going to make is an elderflower spritz, and this is using Saint Germain elderflower liqueur. So the elderflower, this is really a cool story because all of the elderflowers that go into this liqueur are actually picked by hand from like mountainous wildflower regions. So I love what that little floral element does to a cocktail. It almost has like, for me, like a rose petal and also kind of like a lychee aroma other than just being beautiful floral. Okay, so I'm adding again like 1.5 to 2 ounces of my Saint Germain. Gorgeous. Then once again, topping off with the Prosecco from Caposaldo. I think the brut style is definitely what you want for this. An extra dry style Prosecco that has a lot of residual sugar added already. It might be a little intense with the elderflower, which does have a pretty sweet profile to it. Okay, that is looking good to me. And then finally, ingredient number 3, once again with the club soda, I'm just gonna top it off right here. And this is something you can kind of have fun with and be creative. A lot of people like lemon in their Saint Germain. I actually personally prefer lime. So using some fresh lime wedges, I'm just gonna put those right in there. A couple of lime wedges, gonna squeeze, and then just because they're so pretty, I'm gonna use a lime wheel and just sort of garnish the side of the glass. Another fabulous variation on this is to add a sprig of fresh mint. My local store was actually out of mint today, so I did not source any for this, but if you can find mint or if you have a little fresh mint in your garden, it's a really beautiful addition to this cocktail. I love how the little tartness of the lime plays really nicely with the sweetness of the Saint Germain, and also that floral character kind of cuts it a little bit, makes it a little bit more complex. The next one, for me, it reminds me of my travels in Italy. I think for this guy, I'm gonna use a short glass. Again, for spritz, you can use any kind of glass you want. There are no rules here, you guys, however you feel. So I'm gonna add a couple ounces of the limoncello. I love the color. It's like such a brilliant sunshiny yellow tone. And then you got it one more time with the Caposaldo Brut. Let it, guys, it smells like we're on the Amalfi Coast right now. Incredible, yes. I'm gonna add a little special twist on this, which is fresh basil. I love basil and lemon, and again, Amalfi style. It is so incredibly fragrant. One thing that you can do is peel a couple leaves off and just kind of go like that. Just spank it a couple times. It's gonna release the essential oils and allow them to express into the cocktail. Just for the aromatic factor, I'm gonna add this little sprig of basil as a garnish. So that way when I lift the glass to my lips, I'm getting that incredible fresh basil, fresh from the garden, Italian basil and lemon. Again, classic Italian combo, absolutely beautiful in a cocktail. And I'll call this Amalfi Spritz because that's the mood that we're in right now. One great thing about a Spritz is that it's a very light cocktail. You're adding club soda, so that's, you know, Prosecco is usually only about 11% alcohol. Then of course that little bit of liqueur or spirit gives it slightly more, a little bit of a kick, but it is a nice brunch cocktail or something you kind of sip like all afternoon, or maybe when you're like cooking and you have a couple hours in the kitchen, you know, maybe baking some sourdough bread like everyone's doing right now. Spritz is really just a nice, easy, light cocktail that you can kind of enjoy more than one over a couple hours and still feel very alert and awake and not too tipsy or sleepy or sluggish. I love a Spritz for that reason. All right, so the next Spritz we're gonna make, if you're just joining us now, 5 Spritzes in 20 minutes is what we're doing right now. This one, gonna use a highball glass for. And this is a more interesting, adventurous take on the Spritz. So I'm using a liqueur called Cynar. You pronounce it Cynar, and you might notice on the label there is an artichoke. So Cynar is a bitter Italian Amaro that has artichokes as the main ingredient. And it also has some different herbs and roots. And it's definitely more vegetal. It's much more adventurous than something like the limoncello. So if you have that kind of palate that you want to take a little risky adventure, Cynar is really, really fun, especially if you enjoy this sort of bitter and vegetal flavors. So it's got that really deep color, almost looks like a cola color. And then, yep, super herbal. I can smell the artichoke in there. Once again, with the Prosecco, I'm going to top here. Nice, okay. Then, of course, the final step, as we all know by now, top it with that little bit of club soda. Gorgeous. I'm gonna do a little just quick stir on this one because I can see that the liqueur is kind of concentrated in the bottom of the glass. Just gonna zhuzh it up a little bit. And then for this one, I'm gonna add an orange peel and just kind of twist it to, again, let those essential oils escape out of the peel. Yum. So I'm gonna throw the orange peel in there, and you could stop at that, but just kind of keeping with that vegetal flavor, I'm gonna add a fresh rosemary sprig to this one. And again, that's mostly gonna give me that aroma when I sip it. Oh yeah, I think the rosemary just adds so much. Definitely, it's bitter. This would be a really nice, probably, you know, digestif, maybe after a big meal. Maybe you've had an epic multi-course lunch when we're on our Italian resort, and this is just the kind of thing to help you start digesting your dishes. This is, again, Cynar, which is the artichoke bitter Italian Amaro with the Caposaldo brut and the club soda, garnished with a orange peel and that wonderful rosemary sprig. And we are at our final Spritz of our Spritz making workshop. So I'm gonna go back to our stemmed bulb-shaped glass. We are going to go again with Apolog, who gave us that persimmon liqueur that I kicked off with. They have a saffron liqueur. How incredible is that? So I'll read you some of the ingredients. We have saffron, green cardamom, coriander, turmeric, that's probably helping with the colors, along with that gorgeous saffron, curry leaf, lemongrass, and orange peel. Oh my goodness, talk about like the most beautiful, complex bouquet of flavors, and it's such a beautiful color. If you can find this, the Apolog saffron, really, really something special. So I'm gonna take my glass, and again, I will top it with my couple ounces of saffron liqueur. Oh my word, that is gorgeous. Wow. Okay, I'm almost down to the bottom of my bottle of Caposaldo, so. Oh wow, I love looking at this like foam up in the glass. And I wish you all could smell this because it honestly smells like a field full of fresh saffron. Absolutely incredible. Wow. All right, club soda one more time. And for this one, I think I'm going to garnish with okay, I haven't used my grapefruit yet, so why not? I'm gonna do a couple little grapefruit. I think saffron and grapefruit's a great combo. But I cannot wait to try this saffron spritz.